My lawyer asked me to read this. Warning, this video is going to be a bummer. If you can't handle violence, sexual content, or subtitles, this list is probably not for you. So, yeah. Whew. This is awkward. Well, goodbye. Thank you for clicking. I'm sorry that you can't stick around. So I decided to update my list because, well, I figured this is a good opportunity to create a better list and update my information. So here we go. Number 10, Gummo. Gummo is a film about nothing, but that's kind of the point. It's directed by Korine, who's basically a pretentious John Waters. But this is probably his masterpiece if you ask me. As far as being effective, it is effective at what it does. One could argue that it doesn't do much though, but it leaves you with a lot of images that I sure wish I could get out of my head. This film portrays the lives of many degenerate people living in a small town in Ohio that was hit by a tornado. The town never really recovered, and it's basically run by parentless children who eat each other alive. I mean it, nothing really happens in this whole movie, but that kind of adds to the disturbing factor. Like, the whole thing is meant to show how pointless life is. You'll love it. Number 9, Eraserhead. I've actually covered this movie a lot on my channel. It's one of my favorite films and one of the things that led me to want to make films myself. I'll drop some links to those videos somewhere on the screen. The plot and the story in Eraserhead aren't really as important as the main character and what happens in his head over the course of the film. Every plot summary you read online is going to do little to no justice to the film, so I'd avoid those like the plague. It is completely open to interpretation. I've seen it a few times and I changed my mind on what it means every time. What makes it disturbing is essentially just how much it throws at you without any rhyme or reason. It'll trip you out. Go watch it. Criterion just put it out on Blu-ray. Number 8, Under the Skin. Well, hey, look at that. A film from 2014 made this list. Under the Skin is essentially a horribly depressing and upsetting film about an alien that comes to murder men by stealing an attractive body. It then starts to fall in love with being human and gets really frustrated when it can't do human things. What makes it disturbing is just how horribly honest it is about the nature of being human. There's also a scene where you graphically watch an entire family drown. It's awesome. Number 7, Ichi the Killer. This movie is really messed up. I think it's supposed to be a comedy, but it has really horrible violence. It also has terrible looking CGI violence. The film is directed by Takashi Miike, acclaimed Japanese filmmaker. It's also based on a manga of the same name. Did I mention it's horribly violent? It's basically about this hitman that has been seeking someone as sadistic as him, and then he does. Then they have it out and it ends badly for everyone, especially this guy. Do I need to explain why it's disturbing? I think I pretty much covered that. Number 6, Antichrist. Lars von Trier's Antichrist is one of the better made films on this list. It's also really messed up. I Wanna Die. This movie stars Willem Dafoe and Lars von Trier's favorite person, Charlotte Gainsbourg. It's about two people that lose their child to a window. Damn windows, always killing children. Well, then they're really bummed. The woman starts to go a little nuts and they go out to a cabin in the woods, which, if you've seen Evil Dead 2, you know is always a great idea. Then she goes even crazier, and the movie turns into horrible violence. It's disturbing on many levels, but mostly because of how realistic the performances are and how horribly graphic the third act is. It also features some really fantastic camera work and some pretty cool special effects. So go watch it and puke. Number 5, Cannibal Holocaust. Wow, only number 5 for such a popular title? Well, yeah. I mean, this film is really dated. That being said, it's still really interesting, but more for its history. Director Ruggero Deodato was actually arrested and tried for the murder of a few of the actors. They ended up coming forward and saving the day, but still, it's a little hard to not feel disgusted with the director after seeing the film. He does some really horrible stuff. There's some really horrible animal cruelty, mostly involving the decapitation of a turtle. Luckily, there's an edited down version without the animal cruelty that isn't nearly as disturbing, but it doesn't make you feel like a total piece of crap. I'm not kidding though, this film is legit sickening. The majority of the gore effects are really good for the time, and it is one of the first found footage films. And look how good those turned out. But I have a hard time recommending this to anyone, so watch at your own risk, buddy. Number 4, Inside. Pretty basic title, but don't let it fool you. This is the only movie I've ever seen to actually make me squirm. I have a very high tolerance for violence and gore, as you could probably tell. But there's so much in this movie. Matter of fact, after the first act, it's basically constant. One of the positives I actually have for the film is how constant the violence is. It's excessive, and it's pretty happy about that. This movie is a thriller, and if it wasn't so horribly gory, I would recommend it solely on the fact that it's really intense. That being said, it gets really dumb with a couple of decisions they made in the third act, but what can you do? It's still entertaining, and if you like movies like this movie delivers. Number 3, Salo, or The 120 Days of Sodom. Notably, the final film from acclaimed director Pier Paolo Pasolini, Salo, or The 120 Days of Sodom, is a bummer. It's actually based on the book 120 Days of Sodom, written by Marquis de Sade. This film is filled with a whole bunch of depravity. There's torture, murder, almost constant nudity, pedophilia, rape, and coprophagia. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but if you want to look it up, this is how it's spelled. I've actually heard that the set was rather jovial and all the actors knew they were contributing to what they thought would end up to be an important film. Take it for whatever you want, love it or hate it, it exists, and it's really messed up, and it's not for the faint of heart. Also, it's supposedly filled with social commentary, so go pick it apart. Or pick your nose, I don't really care. Number 2, Pink Flamingos. Gotta love that John Waters.
People said, why wouldn't you let your parents say, that's torture, that's parents abuse. What parent would be proud their son named Pink Flamingos? Really?
Pink Flamingos is the film that set him and Divine into stardom. It's a really strange, mostly bad in the acting department, yet lovable film about disgusting people doing disgusting things. There's a certain charm to it. It's disgusting, and it's proud of it. While a lot of people could easily dismiss this as just horrible trash, that's kind of what makes it amazing. It was actually somewhat commercially successful, and that just further displays how much of a prank this film really is. It's that film that everyone shows to their friends to try and get them to, puke. Mostly at the singing butthole. So yeah, find a copy and hate me for showing it to you, I guess. And the number 1 spot goes to... It's actually a tie between two films. The first is a Serbian film. It's this movie that features literally every taboo imaginable, and love it or hate it, it is very effective with what it tries to do. And you could easily dismiss it as just dumb shock value, but there's some heavily implied social commentary that is worth looking into if you didn't hate the film. You can head on over to this link to see a full review over it, but for the most part, there's nothing more to say. The other film that deserves the number 1 spot is a film called Martyrs. Out of all the films on this list, I think this is the one with the most meaning. If you like interpreting a message and really thinking about what you see, this film works way better than a lot of films that I've seen. That being said, it's earned its position on this list for brutal violence that is really upsetting, and what it does with its characters in the second half. There's one scene in particular that gets at the audience a lot.
Open the door! I can't, it's locked!
So go pick it up at your local Amazon.com or eBay. If there's anything that I might have missed, let me know in the comments below. Also, subscribe to my channel to see more stuff. Like this video and share it with someone you know. Thanks for watching, guys.